This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by Larry King Law. Matt Hatfield here with him. We're joined at this time by a special guest. He is the Emmy Award-winning broadcaster of the NBA's Atlanta Hawks, on the call for all the Hawks games alongside the great Dominique Wilkins on Bally Sports. You heard him for many years here. He gave you all the local sports action from Tides baseball to ODU to William & Mary, and he's a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. Our good buddy celebrating his 25th year on the mic of the Hawks, who are up 2-1 on the Knicks in their best of 7 first-round series in the Eastern Conference. Bob Rathbun with us. Bob, long time no chat. Good to have you back on the show. And I want to say, first and foremost, congrats on 25 years. That's a remarkable achievement. Any professional sports teams, that's just unbelievable, and well-deserved honors that are coming your way. I'm sure many more accolades in your decorated career.
Well, Matt, thank you. I appreciate that, and it is good to be with you. Always good to be back on the air in Hampton Roads. Love my time there, and it's always a pleasure to be back with you.
Well, yeah, stomping grounds for you for sure. And I tell you what, the Hawks, the Knicks, I said it earlier in the show, Bob, that to me the first 2 games of the series, and last night was certainly celebratory for Hawks fans and great to see kind of win comfortably, but the first 2 games, edge of your seat, just dramatic big plays and shots and moments. To me, this has been as entertaining as any of the first-round series, and there's been some other very interesting series that we'll probably talk about as well, like certainly the Clippers and the Mavs. You got Denver, Portland. The Blazers try to even it up at 2 games apiece today. You're keeping it close on the other 3 series in the Eastern Conference as well, but this one's been as good as all of them.
Well, normally speaking, 4 or 5 matchups are going to be pretty good. Just the evenness of the seeding and the respective records and what happened during the year. But I think Nate McMillan, our new head coach, our interim head coach, has cracked the code, led by his great young point guard, Trae Young. They have figured out the Knicks' offense and defense. And you saw, I thought, last night, the best overall game the Hawks have played in the series. They shot the ball so well last night, Matt. They were 16 for 27 on threes, which is phenomenal in the playoffs. And they just had the Knicks bamboozled. Derrick Rose scored 30. The Knicks went to the free throw line 30 times, and they still couldn't get to 100 points. Their shooting was horrendous. If you take Rose out, the rest of the Knicks were 16 for 60 from the field. I mean, it's just ridiculous how good a job they've done on Julius Randle. And by taking him out, it has exposed the other guys for their lack of offense. And I think that's where the Hawks found their most success last night.
Well, I'm sure we'll touch on it, too. Some guys with some Virginia flavor on this Hawks roster. We've seen DeAndre Hunter of national champion UVA, Nathan Knight, who I know has not played much here lately, but certainly had a great impact early on from William & Mary. But let's begin with the headliner and Trae Young. Only 22 years of age, just his 3rd season in the league. What a remarkable finish to that first game with the Knicks, the 0.9 seconds as he hushes the Madison Square Garden crowd. But, Bob, you really hear more nationally about other guards in the NBA than Trae, and I can't comprehend how this guy was left off the Eastern Conference All-Star squad. I mean, you look at all these great guards, Luka and Ja Morant and Russell and Beal and Harden and Kyrie and Curry, CP3, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell. List goes on and on and on, but I fear he could get snubbed for some of these All-NBA teams. But do you get the sense from the Hawks and even Trae there's a bit of a chip on the shoulder perhaps, and just how much fun is this young man to watch on a nightly basis?
Oh, gosh, it's a boulder. It's not a chip. I mean, this kid, if they re-voted today, he'd be on there and Randall would obviously be off.
Right.
It was fun to watch, and it's been fun to watch his maturation. I think having Nate as his head coach now has really put him over the top because Nate McMillan, many of our Hampton Roads fans will remember him from his days at NC State. He's a Raleigh native. It was really good for the Wolfpack playing for Coach Valvano. And so even though Nate spent much of his career out on the West Coast, he's now getting back east with Indiana and now coaching the Hawks. So I think a lot of people are rediscovering just how good Nate McMillan is as a defensive coach and putting a ball club together, and the job that he's done with Trae as his point guard. Coaches will always say the point guard is the extension of the coach on the floor, and it's no different here. And Nate was a hard-nosed, take-no-nonsense approach to playing the position. And I think he's instilling that in Trey. He had 14 assists last night, Matt, and some of the passes he made were absolutely breathtaking. He whistled one past Derek Rue's ear to find Bogdanovich open on the sideline. He's so creative, and I've always said from the time that I first laid eyes on him in training camp 3 years ago that it's not his scoring that captivates you. It is his unbelievable passing. I mean, you're talking about a pass off the dribble with the left hand, cross court, through traffic, and hit the guy right on his hands. There are very few guys that can do that in our league. And you look back to the history of the game, there's very few guys. He reminds me more of Pete Maravich than he does Steph Curry. He's that good. He's very, very talented.
That's a high praise. Pistol Pete, one of the all-time greats, my dad's favorite player from way back in the day. And, you know, Trey, the thing about him too, Bobby, he was a wonderful scorer at Oklahoma. He could shoot from everywhere on the floor and score. There was a little bit of a rough stretch, I think, his last year there where he had some assist turnovers that were not great. But, like to your point, 14 assists, only 2 turnovers last night. You see the imprint of Nate McMillan for sure. And I believe the Hawks are, 18-2 at State Farm Arena under Nate? I mean, I've got no problem with Monty Williams, Quinn Snyder, even Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks getting Coach of the Year consideration, but I don't think we've heard Nate's name enough with Coach of the Year. And what he's done, I think it's ahead of schedule as the head man of the Hawks for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I think because he took over after the season was underway. I mean, you know, from where we were to where we are now is night and day. We were on the morning of March the 1st, the day they made the coaching change. We were sitting 11th place, and we were thinking, wait a minute, we're not good enough to make the play-in tournament? And so they decided to make the change, and everything changed. Obviously, we got healthy, and that it would have been to Lloyd's benefit had we gotten healthy. But the whole vibe changed when Nate took over, and they started winning. He won his first 8 games as the interim head coach, and they just got a confidence about them, Matt, that has gone unwavered since. I mean, the guy is – I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think we are now 30-11 since Nate took over, something like that. I mean, it is just ridiculous. We've won our last 12 home games. State Farm Arena last night was sold out to capacity, standing room only. The place was it was DEFCON 1 in terms of the crowd noise, and this city has just embraced this team, and they embraced Trey. But it's not just Trey. I mean, you got good bigs in Capella and Collins. You talked about DeAndre Hunter. Bogdanovich has been so much better than anybody anticipated. I mean, this guy's in his 4th year in the league. It's his first NBA playoff. He's from Serbia, but he's 28. This is not his first rodeo. He's won international championships, won the Euro Cup. He's been in big ball games before, and now he's just getting used to how the NBA playoffs work, and he's been phenomenal. Gallinari got his stroke back last night. Lou Williams has come home with the trade from the Clippers, and he had another nice game last night. So the pieces have really come together, but you're right. Nate and Trey have been leading the way.
For sure. We're talking with the Emmy Award-winning broadcaster of the NBA's Atlanta Hawks. Silver anniversary for him, 25 years on the mic of the Hawks. Bob Rathbun, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1 as we go around the NBA playoffs with the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer here on the show. Game 4 with the Hawks and the Knicks comes your way on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC as Atlanta tries to go up 3-1 on New York before the series shifts back to the Garden. And, Bob, you mentioned it, Trae Young's brilliance as well as so many different guys hitting threes for them, 7 different players knocking down the total of 16 threes in Game 3 last night. And Clint Capella, I mean, double-double for him, which is oftentimes the norm. He's a shot-blocking presence, and it was funny to see him paying homage to the great Dikembe Mutombo with the finger wave, huh?
That brought back some memories last night, and the Hawks fans loved every second of it. It was great. Every night when I say my prayers, when I go to bed, I thank the Houston Rockets and Daryl Morey for giving us, and I mean literally giving us, Clint Capella. How can you look at that man and say, if you're Houston, we really don't need a center. Let's get rid of Clint. This is a guy you raised in your franchise. And his rebounding average per game has gone up every year he's been in the NBA. He led the league in rebounding. He led the league in offensive rebounding. He was third in blocks. The guy is a lob machine, the way he works it with not only Trey, but we saw last night he and John Collins worked a little 4-5 magic. So thank you, Houston. We love him in Atlanta, and he's going to be around here for a long time.
Yeah, no shock that Houston was at or near the bottom of the Western Conference standings this year, Bob. And game, as you close the talk here on the Hawks-Knicks before we look at other series here for a moment, Game 4, I mean, how pivotal is it to get up 3-1 as opposed to 2-2 with knowing New York would have 2 of the last 3 at home? I mean, I'm looking at all the matchups and skill-wise, and I just think it's going to be hard for the Knicks to manufacture enough points. I mean, you mentioned it, outside of Derrick Rose, who you're counting on with his injury history, and it's a great story, 30 points for him, but Randall's just not getting it done for them. And I mentioned earlier in the show, I think, NBA most improved, rightfully so for him. He's a great story, but I feel like on a championship contending team, he's better as a number 2 guy than the marquee guy, even though he has carried the load for the Knicks. I just feel like when you get against some of these better teams in the East and in the playoffs, he's better as that second option than the first option. I mean, I don't know how the Knicks generate enough scoring unless the Hawks have a rut like they did in the third quarter of Game 2.
I agree with you. And if they didn't have Derrick Rose, who they traded for, as you know, started the year in Detroit, and Tibbs begged and begged and begged and finally got him back. If they didn't have Rose, I don't know where they would be in this series. They'd be hard-pressed to score 75 points without Rose. And what has happened is that Nate has decoded the Knicks offense, and they have brought an extra big to come over and harass Randall when he gets close to the basket, make him make decisions with the basketball. When you got active bigs like we do and Capella and Collins, they can move their feet and still protect the rim. And so Randall is all out of whack. He's not getting easy looks, which he got in the regular season. He can't get a rhythm going. And these other guys around him just cannot produce enough offense. I mean, R.J. Barrett has disappeared. He didn't have a field goal till the fourth quarter last night. They don't have enough off the bench. Alex Burks had a great Game 1, had the game of his life, but he hasn't been heard from since. Quickly's not ready for this. They got so many guys that are non-offensive threats. Gibson never shoots the ball. Noel never shoots the ball. Bullock, he's got to be wide open to be effective. You're right. I don't know where they're going to turn to get offense. They've tried to get physical. That didn't work. They've tried to muck it up. That hasn't worked. I don't know where they go. They're struggling big time because not only are they not generating offense, this vaunted defense that everybody talks about is just Trae Young is killing them. And it just underscores, Matt, the difference between the regular season and the playoffs. And the regular season is great, but you're not in the playoffs when a team can lock into what you're doing, and they've got better talent, and the Hawks have better talent than the Knicks. You see what's happening. And it is not a surprise if you watch the games and watch the two teams.
Yeah, Tibbs is going to have to keep the score down. If it gets to the triple digits, I just can't see them winning. If it's the 80s and 90s, he's got a better chance, and there's no guarantee even in that situation that you get the W if you're a New York fan. But looking at the games today, Bob, we got 4 good ones, a chance for you to kind of exhale. You got your Hawks and Knicks game coming up on a Sunday, but 4 games today. You got Utah-Memphis as the nightcap. Before that, Philly-Washington, Denver-Portland as the Blazers try to even it up at 2 games apiece. The first one coming up at 1:30 Eastern with the Bucks trying to go for the sweep of the reigning Eastern Conference champion Heat there. Which one kind of draws your eye the most here of these 4 today?
Let's see. Well, I think the one that probably has the most intrigue are the 2 out west. Mm-hmm. I think Utah will take down Memphis. If they don't get them tonight, they'll probably win Game 4 and wrap it up in 6. I just think Utah, with Donovan Mitchell back, they're just a better ball club. And Memphis will scrap, no doubt. They'll get a boost in the home court. They may very well win tonight. But I think overall Utah will take that series. Very impressed with what Denver's doing. Without Jamal Murray, they've really kept it rolling. A very, very big win for them in Portland a couple of nights ago. If they get that one, that series is going to be pretty much over. The Milwaukee series is over. That's going to be a 4-game sweep. And Philadelphia just, I think, overpowers Washington. The Wizards, I think Westbrook, the news came out this morning, he may be questionable for tonight. If they don't have him, they don't have much of a chance against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is very, very good. Now, Milwaukee is excellent too, and I will tell you, Drew Holiday has made the difference. Milwaukee has had some problems in the playoffs the last couple of years with Bledsoe, and they wised up and got rid of him and brought in Drew Holiday, who has made all the difference. And Milwaukee's rolling. That team is going to be hard to stop. That's going to be interesting to watch. And, just a side note, they played last night, but Brooklyn, how do you not slow down Jason Tatum?
It's crazy.
I mean, come on, guys. A simple switch, and they ended up with Kyrie Irving on Tatum at the foul line every time down the floor. It's like, come on, Brooklyn. You've got to change it up. And that's why a lot of people are not sold, Matt, on the Brooklyn Nets advancing to the NBA Finals. And they'll probably beat Boston, but people are not sold because of their defensive deficiencies.
Well, that's how I wanted to finish up with you, Bob. If you talked to me 6 days ago, I'd have said, the Lakers lose game 1 to the Suns. I know the odds makers say it's the Lakers, Nets as the 2 favorites. Lakers as a 7 seed, Brooklyn as a 2 seed. We all know the seeds don't mean as much as they probably did years ago when it comes to NBA playoffs, especially years when you'd have your big discrepancies in terms of your win totals and guys that were out a lot this year like LeBron and Davis, and in the Nets case, their big 3 of Irving, Harden, and Durant. But Bob, I think now, I would have said beginning of the playoffs, Nets probably a better chance to get to the finals than the Lakers. Now I'm not so sure in the West. It's kind of the path is starting to open up here for the Lakers, whereas with the way the defense is playing for Brooklyn, as you mentioned, in Steve Nash, new coach, first time he's been in these pressurized spots, having to lead in these close games, you got Milwaukee. You've got the Sixers. Maybe the Hawks are a surprise story here and get in the mix. You never know. But, I feel like it's a much tougher road now for Brooklyn than it is the Lakers, which is hard to comprehend given LA's got to go on the road the rest of the playoffs as a 7 most likely. And you wouldn't have thought that about 6 days ago or so.
Yeah. The one thing, Matt, about home court in the NBA playoffs is once you get past the first round, it really doesn't matter. You would certainly love to have Game 7 on your home court. But when you get down to the Final Four in each conference, those teams are so good they can win anywhere. And LeBron's proved it over the course of his career. Road games don't really have much of an effect on him. It's the whole team concept. The one thing about the Lakers is that they basically are a 2-man team. And if Anthony Davis, with all of his drama and all of his injuries, if something happens to him, it's going to be hard on the Lakers, even with LeBron. And you could see a little leaking of the oil in the Golden State game. Now, LeBron's magnificence carries him and the team and has for the last 2 decades. But they're not as good as you think overall without those 2 guys at the top of their game. If anything happens to either one of them, Lakers are in trouble, much like you're seeing with Phoenix. Chris Paul's getting a little extra time to rest. He might be a little more effective in the next game. But they are another team that is greater than the sum of their parts. And you take one piece away and the whole thing will break down. They're not particularly deep. Booker, it looks like the Lakers have gotten into his head. New playoff experience. It looks like they're a little fragile. And you're right. Things open up for the Lakers a little bit. But don't discount Utah. Don't discount Denver. These are quality ball clubs. And they're well coached and they're deep. And the West is going to be a little bit trickier than I think a lot of people. We're so emotionally drunk on LeBron because he's won so much for so long that we just think automatically they're going to win. Well, we'll see. Next round is going to prove a lot.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I'm a little tired of them getting to the finals. And it'd be neat to see the Jazz or the Nuggets or somebody new in that little final spotlight. I've got a little LeBron fatigue myself, so I'm kind of refreshed to hear you say that. And Michael Malone, I think, is as underappreciated as a great coach as there is. He won those games coming from 3-1 down last year, and we see what he's doing without Murray, as you mentioned, against Portland. So that'd be fun to see. Well, Bob, it's always a pleasure talking with you, my friend. We'll definitely keep in touch. Hope we get you back on this show again before the playoffs come to a close. And best wishes to you and your Hawks, all right?
Thank you, sir. Great being with you. My best to everybody back in Hampton Roads.
You got it, Bob. Have a good one. That is the one and only, the legendary Bob Rathbun with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, play-by-play voice the Atlanta Hawks giving us some time this morning as we go around the association. We'll come back. We'll do some buy or sell, and we'll have a chance for you to hop in here if you like as well. 757-687-9494. Hit us up on the Twitter page, 757 Sports Talk. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Been a busy show here on this 29th day of May, the year 2021, the final Saturday of May here in 2021. 757 Saturday Sports Talk brought to you each and every week by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you know who to call. It's 757-INJURED for Larry King. Matt Hatfield here with you. Kyle Hightower, other side of the glass. We've had on Bob Rathbun, the award-winning broadcaster of the NBA's Atlanta Hawks, to discuss the playoffs, and Atlanta up 2-1 on the Knicks of New York in that first-round series. We also spoke with Patrick Nichols, the head baseball coach of the state champion Greenbrier Christian Gators. So if you missed any of those interviews or the first hour of the show, podcast page will have you covered later on, ESPNRadio941.com for that. And again, if you're wanting to hear the dramatic conclusion of ODU baseball and the Conference USA tournament, go on over to Money Talk 1310 AM. As you heard Kyle mention, Andy Garriola with his second blast of the day, a 3-run shot to put the Monarchs up 6-2 there as they are trying to navigate this one and get the W here to advance to tomorrow's championship game. By the way, 13th in America is ODU baseball in the RPI as it's 6-2 ODU, bottom of the fifth in Ruston, Louisiana. A win will keep them from having to play later today at 5 o'clock in the elimination game, and they move on to the championship of CUSA. And I think they're going on to the NCAA tournament regardless. I think they've certainly done enough resume-wise and leading the country in home runs with 194. That's Ed Young's type of baseball to watch. Speaking of which, since his Bronx Bombers couldn't get it done last night in extra innings against the Tigers, you know I had to go there. We say hello to the head basketball coach of Nansemond River and my cohort, my sidekick, the guy with all the suits. Ed Young joins us now on ESPN Radio. Good morning, sir. How are you on this lovely Saturday?
Good morning, Matthew, Kyle, and the people out there. It's a good day, even though it's a little rainy here and there. Every day is a great day when you open your eyes and feet touch the floor, and I consider myself blessed.
Yeah, and we'll get to some things. It's great to see all the fans last week at the Boo Williams Sportsplex. We had a wonderful time out there. We've had some nice comments since doing the show. It was really our first remote, I think, in close to 2 years since we didn't do any in 2020. So we're hoping to do another one at Virginia Wesleyan for that team camp in July. And, of course, fun with all the people. Thanks to Rob Kennedy and all the guests that came on last week from the Hoop Group Southern Jam Fest at the Booplex, the Boo Williams Sportsplex, and good to have you there. We're going to do something before we get to your rant in the last segment, because I'm going to set you up for a rant. We got a baseball and we got a semi-basketball / multi-sport topic in the last segment. We're going to play some buy or sell. Ed, do you have enough coins in your pocket to buy, or are you just selling today?
If it's a good deal, I'm getting it.
Okay.
I might be in the mood to buy.
All right, we're going to go around the sports world, a local topic or two with 757 flavors, some basketball, some baseball, some hockey. So time again we haven't done buy or sell in like 2 or 3 months. We haven't done it in a while.
And don't forget, Indy 500 tomorrow.
Oh, is it? See, I know next week is the Belmont.
See, we always pick the ponies, but now we got to pick the.
I have no next to nothing about the Indy 500, so that's what my assignment is during break. Kyle, do you know you're picking an Indy 500, Kyle, tomorrow? I don't even know who's racing in the thing.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Ed's gonna win that one. But go ahead, give us our buy or sell questions. What do you got?
All right, first up, Norcom High's Dorian Finney-Smith of the Mavericks and former Deep Creek High and UVA standout Mike Scott of the 76ers are two of the 757 stars in this year's playoffs. Philly leads Washington 2-0 in the first round. Dallas is now up 2-1 on the Clippers out west. Both will make it not only to the second round, but the conference finals. Buy or sell?
Ooh, Ed, what do you say? You got both the Sixers and the Mavs getting to the conference finals? I tell you what, that was looking like a pretty friendly wager in terms of the odds, say a day or two ago before Dallas blew its double-digit lead last night. They would have been up 3-0 had they held on to that. What do you say? Do both the Mavs and the Sixers get to the conference finals, or are you selling that?
All right, now hold on. First of all, Matt. Okay, let's say Mavs beat Clippers. Who do they play next round?
They play the winner of Utah-Memphis.
Okay. And then Sixers beat Wizards, which they will. They play
Atlanta or New York. And we just talked with the Emmy Award-winning Bob Rathbun, play-by-play voice of the Hawks, who used to be here in the Stomping Grounds doing a lot of different sports. Looks like the Hawks had the leg up right now, up 2-1 there. So Philly should be favored. I'm not so sure Dallas will be favored unless Utah's to go down to Memphis, and John Morant's been scoring like crazy. So are you going to take the gamble and buy it, or are you going to sell this?
No, I'm going. My first reaction, I got to sell it because I feel confident with the Sixers to the Eastern Finals. I don't feel real confident with Dallas, and if they don't pick up this next game and they let the Clippers get 2 in a row, we're off to a fresh start in that series. Though I'm not impressed by the Clippers at all.
Who is?
I got to sell it.
Yeah, I mean, even though Kawhi Leonard and Paul George played relatively well last night, obviously coming from behind to get that W with Kawhi having a huge game, 18 points in the half, finished up with a big night, 36 points. George with 29, 22 in the first half. I just don't trust the Clippers either. But I'm like you, I got to sell this one. I just don't. I think Dallas could actually lose a series in 7 now after losing that game last night. I'm not buying it. You along with our line of thinking there, Kyle? Or are you going to take the gamble and buy? You can't because you're a Jazz guy. You're a Jazz man. You can't buy that.
Yeah, I can't quite buy it yet.
You can't buy that. What's next on the list?
All right, up next, last night, Celtics forward Jason Tatum had his 4th 50-point game of the season. That matched Larry Bird for the most in Celtics history. Are you buying that it'll be the final 50-point game of the first round of these NBA playoffs?
Ooh, it's the last one of these first round. I'm going to sell this, Ed. I know that's 50's a big number, but I could see somebody like Dalla Dame for the Blazers in like a game 6. I don't think Tatum will do it again. Trae Young, that's a lot to ask him because he passes the ball a whole heck of a lot. Morant, I mean, my gosh, he came close to 50 the other night. I think somebody else gets 50, so I'm going to sell this. I don't think that this is the last one. And by the way, Tatum had a 50-burger in the play-in game too. So I'm going to sell this. I don't think it's the last one of the first round. It's definitely not the last one of these playoffs, but I don't think it's the last one of the first round. I'm selling it.
I'm buying it. I think it's the last of the first round.
Do you
Even
really?
Though I'm like you. The dude from Dallas, Doncic, and Damian Lillard is always posed to get 50. Those guys shoot enough that they could do it. I just feel first round, no, but like playoffs, the rest of the playoff rounds, I think we're going to see another one, if not a couple.
All right, before question 3, Kyle, break the tie. I say I'm selling it. I think we get another 50-pointer. Ed says he's buying it. It's the last one. What do you say?
I'll sell as well. I think, it's a Stars game. I think someone will go off for 50. If not, it's going to be close. So, I mean, there would be plenty of 40-plus point performances, and I think we'll get one out of that Blazers-Nuggets series.
All right, boy. All right, what's the next one?
All right, up next, the NHL had a Game 7 in its opening round of the postseason last night with Vegas eliminating Minnesota. Are you buying or selling that there will be more than one Game 7 in the opening round of the NBA playoffs?
All right, Ed, so will there be more than one Game 7? So to kind of give you a little bit of a view of where we sit right now, so you have an idea of where things stand. Of course, today in the NBA, you have 4 games going on. Bucks 3-0 on the Heat. Nuggets 2-1 on the Blazers. Sixers 2-0 on the Wizards. Jazz and Grizzlies are tied at 1-1. Tomorrow you got Hawks and Knicks at 1 o'clock. It's Atlanta up 2-1. Lakers up 2-1 on the Suns. That was a good candidate for 7 games. I'm not so sure now with Chris Paul's status. Brooklyn's up 2-1 on the Celtics. And the Mavs are up 2-1 on the Clippers. So are you going to buy that there's more than one Game 7 in the first round of the NBA? Or are you selling that?
I'm going to buy it because I think a good possibility of 3.
Really? So what are the 3 you're thinking? Dallas Clippers, I'm assuming, is 1.
1.
All right.
Hawks, Knicks.
Oh, you think that's going 7? Really? Knicks can't score. I'll be surprised if that happens now, but go ahead. Or who else?
And the other one was, oh my gosh.
Phoenix, LA? You think Phoenix rallies?
If Phoenix wins, that would have to go 7, and Chris Paul got to play.
Or do you like Denver, Portland to go 7?
Yeah, Denver, Portland, because those 2 teams, some of them might score 100, may score 200 points in one of them games. Yeah, those are the 3 I would pick. I don't see the other ones going. Definitely Milwaukee's not going 7. Celtics, Nets not going 7. Sixers not going 7. So that's 3. I don't think Utah, Memphis, but I did tell you before the playoffs started, I felt Memphis could be this year's Miami Heat, and go a little deeper, extra round than most people think. I think we have a possibility of 3.
You did say that on our video show we did a couple weekends ago, our first one since like December we did it. You can go check that out on my YouTube page. You go punch up my name or Ed Young's name, you'll find it on the search. So you are buying more than one Game 7. I'm going to be contrarian here. I think there's only going to be one. I'm going to sell it. And I think it might just be Clippers-Mavs as the only Game 7. I don't feel as good about the Blazers as I did before the playoff. I'm not sure the Lakers-Suns gets there. I'm not sure the Knicks-Hawks get there. So I'm selling it. Kyle, you break the tie. I'm figuring you're going to go with Ed on this one and buy more than one Game 7 here.
Yeah, I'm going to buy. I think that it just feels like Clippers-Mavs is going to go 7. And then I think one, if not both, of Nuggets, Blazers, Suns, Lakers go 7.
All right, so you think the West will have a team. All right, good deal. All right, what's our next one? I think we're going back to the hockey.
Yep. All right. Hockey seldom has repeats. In fact, the last 2 times a team repeated as Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2016-17, and before that, the Red Wings in 97 and 98. Are you buying that the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are set to begin a best-of-7 second-round series in Carolina against the Hurricanes later today, will join them on that list later this year?
All right, Tampa to go back-to-back and a belly-to-belly, Ed, in hockey. I'm going to go first with this one. They lead the regular season series with Carolina 4-3-1. I think they outlast the Hurricanes, but I'm not convinced that they're going to repeat as champ. I'm selling it. You're giving me the field or Tampa. I'm going to take the field. More of a pick here. They just had a little bit of a tough series, a little bit of a tussle there with Florida. I think Florida gave them a little bit tough. I think Carolina gave them a tough time. It might go 6 or 7, but I don't think they repeat. I can see them getting to the final and losing. Colorado's looked really good, by the way. That might be my pick at the moment. But I'm going to sell this. I don't see the Lightning, who, by the way, have still some Admirals flavor in that organization. I don't see they're going to repeat. I'm going to go sell. What says you?
I'm going to sell it, too. I just think they're not quite as good as they were last year. And the team I keep, maybe because I'm picking with my heart instead of my head, Vegas.
Oh, they just had to go step. Vegas, I don't trust them, though. Everybody loves Vegas. Fleury at goal keeps been good, but, man, I just don't trust them. They have some sketchy every now and then head-scratching performances. You're going with Vegas. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to take the field, so that means I am selling it. Right?
I was going to offer you a stake if Vegas won it. Or maybe I would offer you a trip to Vegas, but that could end badly. So I don't want to go that far. Kyle, where you going? We're selling.
That's a deal I would go with.
No, we're not going that far. Kyle, you buying or selling this?
Yeah, I'm selling. It's just, in almost any sport, it's hard to repeat, so I'm going to sell.
All right, what's our last two? Give us the baseball now, right?
All right, yep. The Orioles have lost 10 in a row, while Matt's Diamondbacks have dropped 12 straight. Who will snap their losing streak first? Arizona plays host to the Cardinals today, and Baltimore is in Chicago to play the White Sox.
God, they stink, Ed. They are so bad right now. All your little jokes about 4A minor league team, they are rotten. My team stinks. Go ahead. Who you buying? Are you buying it? Are you buying Arizona or the Orioles? Who you buying?
Okay, Baltimore's in Chicago and Arizona's in St. Louis.
Yeah. Who you buying? Who snaps the streak first?
I'm going to say, I want to say Baltimore. I think Baltimore's a little bit better than Arizona, but.
Well, technically they're not by like half a game, but they both stink. Let's just call it what it is. One's 17 and 33, one's 18 and 34. So you're splitting hairs.
I'm gonna go. I think Baltimore does it first.
He's buying Baltimore.
Both of them are going to win a game in this series. You just don't know who's going to do it.
Oh, really? Now that I don't see. I think this thing goes into like next week. It's going to be like at 17 and 16 at the rate we're going with these two teams. So you're buying Baltimore. I'm not seeing it. I've watched this team enough, Ed. They stink. My team, I'm talking about Arizona. I'm pulling for Arizona, but I'm going Baltimore. They're going to snap it first, Kyle. They're terrible, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going Baltimore.
Jeez, we're bad. All right, what's our last one?
All right, last one. Keeping with baseball, the National League West is the only division in baseball entering the final Saturday of May with 3 teams with at least 30 wins in the Padres, Giants, and the Dodgers. Are you buying or selling that all 3 teams will make the National League playoffs come October?
I thought about buying this yesterday, but I'm selling it now. The Giants' bullpen, I think, is going to implode before the end of September. I think the Dodgers and Padres get in. I'm not sure the NL East gets a second team, by the way. The Mets kind of a little bit of a cushion there in the loss column. But I think the Central might get a second team, maybe Cardinals, Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers. So I'm going to sell this. I don't think the NL West gets 3 teams, although it does look like the best division at the top right now. I'm selling, Ed.
I'm going to sell it, but I think San Francisco, that's a veteran team. I was looking at that roster the other day. Their starting lineup average like 32 years of age.
Really?
I think they go out and get a bullpen. I think they go get somebody for that bullpen.
You do,
because there's going to be a lot of teams dropping out here real soon, and you know how that goes. People start selling people.
Arizona's one of them. They can get anybody they want on that bullpen.
I'm saying I don't. I'm selling it because I don't think 3 will go, but I do think San Francisco will improve their bullpen. But I'm not so sure they'll hold on.
All right.
But somebody else has to get hot, either out of the East or Central. Dodgers, I think, will definitely in, and I kind of feel San Diego for sure. San Francisco is that question mark.
Wouldn't it be something, though, if the Padres or Dodgers got knocked out at the end? That would be wild. All right, Kyle, are you selling or are you buying that the NL West gets 3 teams in?
I am going to sell. I mean, at some point, usually there's another team somewhere that gets hot at some point, so I think one of these teams could cool off. More likely than not, it's the Giants or the Padres. Dodgers are almost definitely going to make the playoffs. They do just about every year. I think, I think someone else somewhere in the National League gets hot and gets a playoff spot.
All right, so it's a sweep there. The one thing I would say, though, is San Francisco has played those 16 games by the end of the weekend here before June against the Dodgers and Padres. They don't have a lot of head-to-head battles with them, at least as many as you would think that would knock them out of contention there. But so there you have it. That is buy or sell here, and we'll come back with one more segment of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's a Memorial Day weekend on your home for sports. Pro, college, high school, and local. We have you covered right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Final segment of 757 Saturday Sports Talk on this 29th day of May, brought to you by Larry King Law. If you're injured in the accident, you know who to call. If you're injured in the accident, it's 757-INJURED for Larry King. Matt Hatfield here, Kyle Hightower on the other side of the glass, Ed Young joining us from undisclosed locations as we just did buy or sell, and now I'm going to get him on a rant. By the way, Kyle and my dad will be happy to know that you can watch the JMU softball squad in the Super Regionals tonight. ESPN2, it has now been moved to be on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock against Missouri as they try to take another one against the Tigers there in the college softball. You also got Virginia Tech with its series deadlocked with UCLA at 1 game apiece. We'll give you a final if it goes final before we sign off with Old Dominion Baseball in the CUSA tournament, up 6-2 right now on FAU. It's over on Money Talk 1310 as we speak to you right now here on ESPN Radio 94.1. But Ed, Joe Girardi, former Yanks skipper who is now the manager of the Phillies, says he is done sharing injury info with the media. What kind of nonsense, what kind of foolishness is this?
I don't consider it a big deal. Media diehards will, but when I heard that early in the week, I didn't even flinch at it. First of all, I didn't think the manager was at liberty to release it. I thought that came from the team. It's like somebody, personnel or whatever would be the ones to do it. Now, maybe the manager tells them who's definitely not playing or whatever. But I never really put a lot of stock in that because really the people need to know who's playing or not playing is, of course, your opponent and the bettors. But
the bettors for sure.
If you thought that was going to get me on a rant, that one won't.
Well, no. This comes a few days after Girardi admitted to reporters he spent the last few days being less than truthful about the status of Bryce Harper. And, he said he lied for a competitive advantage about Harper being placed on the injury list with a wrist injury. But, this just reeks of Belichickian to me, like Bill Belichick. We got to start lying. Right. Now we know all you coaches and people lie anyway, so that's not a shocker. But really, do we have to just make this?
Well, we don't lie.
Yes, you do.
We extend the truth.
Oh no, that's not truthful. When it's a lie, it's not truth. It's false. It's fiction.
You got to look at it this way: if Bryce Harper is definitely not going to play, he's got a really messed up wrist,
right?
And the reporter says, Joe, is Bryce playing in today's game? And you already know for sure he's not. Then you don't say, well, yeah, he is, even though in your mind he's 100% he's not playing. In that situation, my comment is no, his wrist is messed up. We're not using him at all today. I'm not even pinch hitting him. That's okay. Now, if you say, oh, yeah, he's definitely in the lineup, and he might not even be in the dugout. They left him at the hotel or he's home or whatever because they know his wrist. Now, that's an outright lie, and that is hard to take. That one is harder to take. If you're not sure one of your guys are playing, as a coach, I leave it up to my trainer in high school. Is a kid eligible to play, ready to play? Is he 100%? The trainer tells me no, he can't play today. Yes, however you want to use him, 100%. Or, well, yeah, but we better watch him. I don't think he can go long periods. Okay, that gives me an idea. Then I'm going to go from there. I'm not one that says, look, I need this kid. He's got to play. I don't care what's wrong with him. He has to play for us to win. Maybe 30 years ago I might have done that. Younger Ed Young would have. But no, you can't do. Of course, now I'm doing high school.
Hold on, Ed.
Pros a little bit different, but you still can't play guys that are definitely hurt and then risk the chance they're going to be out longer. And, yeah, lying to the media, not good.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. He said he was giving Harper a day off on Sunday when he was out of the lineup. Then a day later, he said Harper was out because he went to bed last night, woke up this morning and said, you know what, I'm going to give him another day, and that's the reason. Then the injury got revealed on Tuesday. So shame on Joe. And here's the bigger deal before we move on to another topic before we sign off here. Phillies are 25-26. You're still in the race, 2.5 back. But if they finish another losing record, these Philadelphia fans are ruthless. They got rid of a guy that won a Super Bowl. They got rid of a basketball coach that was a playoff coach. They will say bye-bye to Girardi like they did Gabe Kapler. He's going to be gone if he doesn't turn it around.
Yeah, Philly fans probably traditionally top 2, 3 in the country, if not number one, about their sports. You know, I like Joe Girardi. I like him with the Yankees. I like him with the Phillies. I like the Phillies. I look at that lineup. There's some people that I like. I think they still need some more pieces, like everybody else. That doggone pitching is where they really need some stuff at. And, I guess Girardi was in the news the other day. I guess him and one of his players, Sengru or whatever, they got into it.
Yeah, they did. Well, I think we are all so glad that fans are back in the stands and gymnasiums and ballparks and stadiums, but sometimes sporting events do bring out the worst in people. I'm sure you saw the NBA stories here recently with John Morant's parents were subject to some lewd, racial, and insensitive remarks, and Trae Young, the deal there with spitting, and Russell Westbrook. Popcorn being thrown at him, some victims, all these people and their families, victims of fan misbehavior. As a high school coach and a former college coach, have you ever been worried about something that is directed at your players and that they may react?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's something we teach them, that when we go on the road, you're going to hear things. And there's certain things we do, and it's only high school, that we teach against it. And the fact that, what do you have to do? You can't run into the stands. You can't get confrontational. And I've been in basketball games where fights break out in the stands, and it could have come onto the floor. You got to be careful for it. The stuff that's going on in the NBA, I kind of heard a guy the other day on one of the sports talk show, kind of attributed to society in terms of, look what's happened over the last year or two. Black Lives Matter, stuff under the former president. There was a feeling in the public, you can almost do what you want. There was no repercussions. The police would stand idly by because they didn't want to get accused. I kind of like that statement. And sometimes fans think, well, what, you ain't going to do nothing to me. And they do lash out. And a guy spitting on somebody, that's not acceptable anywhere in the universe. Dropping popcorn on somebody is stupid, not as bad as spitting on somebody. Unacceptable also. And I'm glad they got both those idiots and are going to take care of them to hopefully somehow that they're never going to come back into a game, at least for a long while. But athletes have to be very careful. When you step up into the crowd or whatever, you're going to be susceptible to a whole lot of action. And if you swing and hit, even though you're defending yourself, you just can't do that because there are going to be fans looking to get you in some manner. It's just what they do. It's like when people hide behind a computer screen, or whatever, and call out names or whatever because they figure ain't nobody going to get me. It's just a microcosm, a little bit of how our society goes. And I do think a little bit of people aren't trained right at home. They're not taught right at home. And there's disconnect there, and it's sickening to see, and it's ridiculous. But yes, you have to teach your athletes how to handle that, and it's not easy.
All right, we got 60 seconds or less here. Final question. It's the most important question of the day. Your Yankees are playing the Tigers. Will this be reminiscent of, and this is sort of an inside joke, so you'll get a kick out of this, will today's Yankee-Tiger game be reminiscent of that July 4th, 1961 game between the Yankees and the Tigers with Frank Larry? Say something funny, Ed.
If somebody takes a bunt down there, and I want to call my man Mike, I'm going to ask him if that bunt was good. And, hey, by the way, Indy 500, I'm going with a long shot. Marcus Ericsson, 20-1. And the heavy favorite is Scott Dixon. He will be in the he'll be in the win-play show, but I don't think he'll win it. But I'm going with Marcus Ericsson.
I'm going Scott Dixon. Who you got, Kyle? I didn't even look at the contestants.
Same one.
There you go. We got Dixon, Ed. We'll see who wins. Loser buys a bottle of water from me since I'm still on the diet. 52 pounds down, though. That'll do it for this episode on this Memorial Day weekend. We thank you, Ed. We'll talk to you in June. For Kyle Hightower and all our guests, including Bob Rathbun, as well as Pat Nichols, we appreciate you. All the listeners, callers, tweeters out there, it'll be up on the podcast page, ESPNRadio941.com. And keep those ears plugged into your home for sports. You know it as ESPN Radio 94.1.